Hey guys, so remember the first exam we've ever had? There were three questions that we all messed up. Or not all of us, or like most of, actually all of us, except for God knows who got the highest grade, you know, first exam. I don't know why I'm rambling this, but you get the point. So I'm gonna go over the three questions, and one of the questions that we all love and adore is when you have p32 labeling the DNA, okay? So this one can be a tedious question, like the fact that you have to draw the strand, and then go like, okay, this is labeled, not labeled, and then figure out that the next cycle, and then for each one of them the next cycle, and it's like drawing this in the exam will take forever, right? If you have multiple cycles, like in this question you have like 5 cycles. So before I start solving this question, I have a suggestion to what you can add in your cheat sheet. If you have it in your cheat sheet, you'll be able to solve this question really fast. You just have to practice it. If drawing it helps you and you can do it really fast, I know one guy who can do it in 2 minutes, do the whole drawing. For me, it's gonna take a while. So technically, what are the 3 different phases you can start your DNA strands with? It could be unlabeled from the beginning, right? Both strands are not labeled. Green, okay, represent the p32 labeling, okay? Black represents the non-labeled part. Anyways, so what happens is when you have DNA replication, you have those those two black strands separating, right? Okay, and then here I have this one black strand separating, and then I have these two green strands separating. Labeling medium, when I have p32 in the medium, okay, what will happen? My new strands will have p32 on them, so I'll have it looking like this. I have this option looking like this, and if both of them are already labeled from the beginning, I'll have two labeled strands. But what if you did a lot of labeling, you had like so many DNAs being labeled and not labeled and all that, but then you want to put it back in the normal non-labeling medium, so p32 is not there, it's just normal non-labeled strands. So again, for DNA replication, I'll have those two strands separating, right? Those two separating, and then my new strands are not going to be labeled, they're going to come out this way. Okay, these two are far apart. Anyways, so I suggest you have this drawn on your cheat sheet. Trust me, it's going to help you, it's going to help you save a lot of time, okay? And I have here till 5 because it's going to make it easier. I'm going to have this table in my cheat sheet as well. So I'm going to have, when you have both strands are not labeled, when you have one strand labeled, this is one strand labeled, this is two strands being labeled. So this is one strand, and this is two strands. And if you remember the table in the exam, see here she's asking you for the fraction for one DNA strand labeled, both DNA strand labeled. So just make sure you have this table in the exam and everything will be easy and fast. So if someone has another method that's very fast, that would be great. Again, I'm still not solving the question, I'm just telling you what table to have in your cheat sheet. Make sure it's in pen so you can put it in with pencil and then copy your numbers. So when I have at the very beginning, before DNA replication starts, right, I have this DNA strand, like molecule that has two strands, right? So it's at 2 to the 0, I have one DNA that has two strands. And then when I start my cycle, right, my first cycle, okay, I'm gonna have 2 DNAs, so that's 2 to the 1, which will give me 2. Then when I start my second cycle, right, how many DNAs will I end up with? I'll end up with 4 DNAs, which is 2 to the 2. Second cycle is 2 to the 2. And then when I have my third cycle, let me put this here, first cycle, second cycle. When I have my third cycle, right, this way. Okay, so for third cycle 2 to the 3, I'm gonna have 8 DNA molecules, and I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I keep going on, fourth cycle, I'm gonna have 16 DNA molecules. Fifth cycle, 2 to the 5, I'm gonna have 32 DNA molecules. So here, this represents the number of cycles. This is cycle 0, so I'm gonna have 1 DNA molecule, right? Cycle number 1, I'll have 2 DNA molecules. Cycle number 2, I will have 4 DNA molecules. 8, 16, 32. So I know how we got this number, right? It's by saying 2 to the n, where n is the number of cycles. So n is the number of cycles. So when I had cycle 0, I had 1 DNA, cycle 1, 2, cycle 2 is 4. Anyways, so again, still I'm not solving that question. That's what I'm gonna have on my cheat sheet. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna have on my cheat sheet. So I'm gonna have this, which is labeling environment. That's how it's gonna look like. And then non-labeling environment, those are the different results. And then I'm gonna have this table, which has this one represents that none of the strands were labeled, right? This is 1 strand is labeled, and this one is 2 strands is labeled. So we went over what am I gonna have on my cheat sheet. Now let's go solve this question. Okay, so what is this question telling me? Okay, this question, let's read it together. Here they tell you 1 bacterium was propagated in the presence of this. Okay, so the bacteria was propagated in the presence of this, of p32, and is allowed to undergo through 2 rounds, 2 cycles, 2 divisions. So I had my 0 stage, right? Then 1 division, 2nd division. Okay, a small sample 1 was taken. So sample 1 was taken when I was in 2nd division, and we said that 1 and 2 was being labeled. And then the bacteria in sample 1 were then allowed to grow for 2 generations without the labeling. Okay, so then it went for a 3rd and 4th cycle, and there was no label, so I didn't put the green color here. Okay, and then they told you a small sample 2 was taken. So sample 2 was taken from here. Sample 1 was from here. Sample 2 was from here. And then the question says, after you took sample 2 bacteria was allowed to grow for 1 generation. So you have 1 more division. Okay, in the presence of p32. And then you took sample 3. Okay, so I went from cycle 0. At the very beginning, the bacteria was normal. It was not labeled. Okay, it undergone 2 cycles, 1 and 2, right? And those 2 cycles, there was labeling. And then I took sample 1 from here. Then it says it went through cycles 3 and 4, 2 generations, right? 2 generations means this cycle, and they were not labeled. There was no labeling. Okay, so I didn't put labeling. And then I have S2, and then they said for one extra generation there was labeling. Okay, so here's my extra generation labeling, and that was my sample 3. So that's what the question is telling me. Apologies for that. So all I did right now, again, I didn't start solving, I'm just explaining the question to you guys, right? So I'm gonna take this, and if I had my table in my cheat sheet, I'll just use my table. Why is this not allowing me to cut? I'm sorry. Okay, so why is it not? Okay, now I can move it. So let me go down, 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 down. I know it's taking forever to scroll. I wish there was a way I can control scrolling and we can make it go faster. Fortunately, it's taking a while to scroll. So here. Again, I'm still not solving the question, I just drew the question for you. Technically, I'll already have this in my cheat sheet, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna transfer my points here. So it's labeled, why is this not drawing it for me? So these ones are the ones that are gonna be the labeled ones, and those other 3 are not labeled. My sample 1 is taken from here, sample 2 is taken from here, and sample 3 is taken from here. S3, S2, S1. Now let's solve this very fast together, okay? So at the very beginning, when I have that 1 bacteria DNA, right, at cycle 0, the cycle didn't begin, I only have 1 DNA molecule, right? And this 1 DNA molecule is not labeled. What will happen to this DNA molecule? It will undergo 1 cycle, right? So here is, and it's in a labeled medium. So here is my 1 DNA. I have 1 here to undergo 1 cycle, right? So, and I'll get these 2. And each one of them has 1 labeled strand. Okay, so I will have 2 labeled strands. Again, total number of DNA is 2, so 2 over 2, so 100% will be with 1 labeled strand. This is my number, 2. Okay, but this is my fraction, it's 100%. Like percentage or fraction would be 1, so 100%. Anyways, so now let's go to the second cycle. Second cycle is again labeled, so I will use this column again. Okay, and what is going into my second cycle? This is 0, this is 0, here these are 0, so this is the only one that's going, so it's this one. Okay, so I have, for my second cycle, I have this. How many single strands do I have? This tells me I have 2. So I multiply this by 2. So if I have 2 single strands, multiply this by 2, I multiply this by 2. Okay, so that means I have, sorry about that, I have only 2 single-stranded ones. So here, 2 single-stranded ones, and I have 2 double-stranded ones. Right? What's the total number? 2 and 2 is 4, and I said I want 4 DNA. So it's over 4, it's over 4, which is equal to 1/2, 1/2, so I have 50%. 50%. And that's the answer in the exam. Oh, and here, because I have 0 non-labeled ones, so it's 0%. Anyways, so again, you can see here that I had 2 and 2, which gives me 4, and then there's 0. Anyway, so now for my third cycle. My third cycle is in a non-labeled environment, so I'm gonna look at this one. What's gonna go through my third cycle is this single strand, right? And is this double strand column. This is 0, so it will come out as 0. No, sorry, I can't say it will come out as 0 yet. So, okay, I have 2 of the single-stranded ones. 2 of the single-stranded ones. I'm dealing with non-labeling environment for cycle 3. See, I don't have the dot. So, for my single strand, I have 2 here, right? So I multiply this by 2, I multiplied this by 2. I'm still not done. I still have a 2 for my double-stranded labeled DNA, so I have 2 here. So I multiply this by 2, I multiply this by 2. Okay, so how many singles, non-labeled ones do I have? I have 2 non-labeled ones, right? How many single-stranded ones do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 double-stranded ones, right? For double-stranded ones, I don't have any double-stranded ones coming out. It's going to be 0. And then 2 plus 6 is 8, which is the total that I have here. So this thing is over 8, this thing is over 8, and this one is 0. Okay, so this will be around 3 over 4, which is 75%. So if you plug it into your calculator, it will give you the percentage. It's 75%. Okay, now let's go to round 4, cycle 4. Cycle 4, again, it's not a labeling medium, so I'm going to deal with this column here. I'm erasing these numbers, so I'm going to be dealing with this column, right? What is going to go through my replication? I'm going to have 2 of the, what do you call it? Non-labeled ones. So I'm going to have 2 of this, right? So I multiply this by 2, I multiply this by 2. Okay, I'm going to have 6 of these, single-stranded ones. So I'm going to have 6, multiply this by 6, multiply this by 6. Okay, so how many non-labeled ones do I have? I have 2 and 2, 4 and 6. I have 10. Okay, and then how many single-stranded ones do I have? I have 6. Okay, can you see how fast we're going through this? Okay, I'm going slow because I'm explaining it, but when you do it on your own, you're going to go really fast. And how many double strands do I have? I have 0. Okay, 10 and 6 is 16, which is the total number of DNA strands I expect in the 4th cycle. So over 16, and then use your calculator to find the percentage for these ones, or you can simplify it. And if I was to simplify this, it's gonna be what am I spacing out again? 5 over 8, right? It's 5 over 8. If I use my calculator, 5 divided by 8, it's gonna be 62.5%. Okay, actually I should have increased the U for this one. Still not big enough. Anyways, it's gonna be 62.5%. So let me erase this. 62.5%. Okay, and here 2 over 8 is 1 over 4. This is 25%, but who cares about this one? So it's 62.5%. We're happy about it. And then for the next one, 6 over 16, it's gonna be 3 over 8, right? Which is 37.5%. Let me rewrite these two again. I hate it when my computer does crazy stuff. And here is 37.5%. Okay, and then you can leave it in the fraction or you can write into percentage, it doesn't matter. Now, because I erased it, you can't see the numbers. So this one, it was 10 over 16. So let me do it again here. 10 over 16. And the other one was 6 over 16. Anyways, so now let me erase all this. So you see how I didn't even have to redraw everything. I just used these that I drew from before. It's on my cheat sheet and I'm going really fast with it. So here now, my fifth cycle is in the labeling environment. So I'm going to use this one, the one that has the labeling environment. So which ones are going to go through the cycle? I have 10, right, of the non-labeled one. So, oh, how did I end up erasing this? Okay, so I have 10 of the non-labeled one. Okay, so I multiply this by 10, I multiply this by 10. Okay, and then I have 6 out of the single labeled one. So 6 of these. So I multiply this by 6, I multiply this by 6. Right? And now, how many non-labeled one do I have? I have 0. Okay. How many of the how many of the why am I spacing out? Single stranded ones do I have? I have 10 plus 10 plus 6. I have 26 over 32. Okay. How many double stranded ones do I have? I have 6 over 32. 6 plus 26 is 32. So I know that total number of DNA strands is 32, and this gave me 32. Anyways, so then I will use my calculator to find the fraction. The percentage. And the percentage for this one is 81.25%. And this one is 18.75%. They complete each other. It's like 100%. Anyways, so I filled up this table really fast. Well, you're supposed to fill it up really fast. And this table is on my cheat sheet, right? It's gonna take me a while to scroll up. I again apologize for that. It just happened. No. Yeah, okay. Anyways, so if you practice this on your own, try practicing this on your own, filling the table. It's only took me a while because I'm explaining it to you. But then, if you want me to demonstrate it in front of you later, I can demonstrate it. It's just really fast to fill up. Okay, so what does this table ask you? It asks you for 1 strand and double strand. So 0 strand, who cares about it? I'm gonna erase the 0 stranded ones. Okay, and then they asked you for sample 1, sample 2, and sample 3. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy these numbers really fast. 50%, 50%, 37.5%, 0%, 81.25%, okay, and 18.75%. That's it. You've got it. You filled it up really fast. Again, it only took me a while because I had to draw it for you, but if you have the table, which I moved up, and these on your cheat sheet, okay, all you have to do is like just multiply according to what you carried on at the table, and then you just copy the numbers you want for this table. That's it. Practice it once on your own and you're gonna see that you can do it really fast and you'll always get the correct percentages. Fortunately, I didn't do it correctly in the first exam. I got only this part correct and I messed up the other part. But now if I see it, I'll be able to solve it really fast. If drawing it is faster for you guys, then just draw it. Don't learn this new method if it's gonna confuse you. hope this helped, and thank you for watching.